Screen for an attorney.
Care.
Mr. Jones.
Today, we're diving into the shocking world of courtroom freakouts. We're counting down 10 convicts who completely lost it after being sentenced to life in prison. These moments are intense, emotional, and at times, downright bizarre. So, before we jump into the chaos, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a wild story from us. Starting off our list at number 10 is Mr. Jones. Now, this guy is known only by that name, and trust me, it's probably for the best. He's in court because he took someone's life, and the judge tries to ask him some basic questions, like if he went to school. But instead of responding, Mr. Jones starts making terrifying noises and showing off his teeth. He sounds more like an animal than a human being, and his bizarre behavior is freaking out everyone in the courtroom, especially the police officer standing next to him.
Screen for an attorney.
Care.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones seems to be under a lot of pressure, especially since the state he was in still uses the electric chair. Or maybe he's just on something because he's making a vampire face throughout the entire hearing. He even says he doesn't care about having an attorney, which makes things even more disturbing. This is definitely a case of someone losing it under the weight of their own actions. At number 9, we have Kayla Norton. This case is rare because it's a female convict freaking out. In 2017, Kayla and her boyfriend caused chaos in Georgia. They drove around in a pickup truck, waving Confederate flags, and hurling insults at people. They even brandished firearms at innocent pedestrians, including children. Eventually, they were arrested for disturbing the peace in their town. So, why did Kayla freak out in court? Well, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, which is practically a life sentence for her. While she didn't physically harm anyone, her actions were considered severe enough to warrant a lengthy prison term. One of her victims even forgave her in court, but the judge wasn't so lenient. Kayla broke down in tears when she realized the full weight of her sentence.
But I want you all to know that is not me. That is not me.
Next up is Jacob Morgan at number 8. Jacob's story is a tragic one. He was messing around with fire when he accidentally set his apartment on fire, resulting in the death of his younger brother. While Jacob claimed he didn't mean for it to happen, the judge wasn't swayed by his remorse. During his trial, the judge delivered a life sentence, and that's when Jacob completely lost it. He burst into tears, begging the judge not to send him to jail for life. Overcome with emotion, Jacob fell to the floor, unable to comprehend the reality of spending the rest of his life behind bars. It's a heartbreaking moment, but also a stark reminder of the consequences of reckless behavior.
Therefore, I am going to find that there is probable cause to charge the individual with the found over for General Sessions Court for late charges.
Coming in at number 7 is John Freeman. This guy took the life of a 5-year-old girl named Isabella Tennant. His crime is as horrific as it gets, and when the judge sentenced him to 22 years to life, the tough guy facade he had been maintaining crumbled. Freeman broke down in tears in court, repeatedly apologizing to the girl's family. He said he was sorry for taking their daughter away and acknowledged that nothing could bring her back. Despite his tearful apologies, the judge and the family were understandably unforgiving. Freeman's breakdown in court couldn't undo the irreversible damage he had caused.
So sorry to all that family, but nothing can take away from that. I understand that.
At number 6, we have Keeson Wilkins, whose courtroom freakout is as ridiculous as it is bizarre. Keeson was sentenced to 42 years in prison, which is effectively a life sentence for him since he was already 50 years old at the time. Instead of facing his fate, Keeson tried to fake a fainting spell right in the courtroom. He asked the judge for a moment, then dramatically fell over, knocking his chair down in the process. While the people in the courtroom benches behind him stood up in shock, his lawyer remained seated, likely unimpressed by the theatrics. The judge didn't buy his act either and told him to get up. Keeson, still trying to sell his fake fainting, sat there pretending to be unconscious. The whole scene was more comical than convincing.
I need some time.
The fact that the defendant is slouching over to the side and acts like he's sleeping, his breath appears to be...
Next up 5 is the inmate who thought preaching to the judge would help his case. This convict believed that only God could judge him, and he made that very clear in court. Unfortunately for him, that's not a legal defense, and the judge wasn't having any of it. As the judge handed down the sentence, the inmate began shouting and screaming random things at the judge, clearly losing his grip on reality. It was a chaotic scene, and while his religious convictions might be sincere, they didn't earn him any leniency in court. The judge remained unmoved, and the inmate was escorted away to begin his long sentence.
And that is that only Jesus Christ can judge me.
Yes,
all right?
sir.
You judge people as if your tongue is a gavel, and you prosecuted a lot of innocent people that let you do the same to me. You're not even thinking, my friend.
Just, yeah, leave him there, but just...
At number 4, we have Leon Montgomery, a man who committed one of the most heinous crimes imaginable. Leon was convicted of taking the life of a newborn baby, and the court sentenced him to 40 years behind bars. As expected, Leon freaked out when he heard his sentence. He claimed he was innocent and demanded a new trial, but the judge wasn't interested in his pleas. In fact, Leon's behavior in court was so disruptive that the judge added an extra 6 months to his sentence for contempt. It's hard to feel any sympathy for someone who committed such a terrible crime, but Leon's outburst only made things worse for him.
It's wrong to people.
And that'll be 6 months to serve when you finish serving.
You know, 6 months, I got 30 years. Everybody here can
Control yourself, I'm going to remove you.
Coming in at number 3 is Mitchell Blair, who is often referred to as the worst mother in America. Mitchell took the lives of her 2 children and stored their bodies in her freezer. Her crime was discovered when repo men came to take her belongings and found the bodies in her freezer. In court, Mitchell showed no remorse. Instead, she was filled with anger and even said she would do it again if given the chance. Her courtroom freakouts were frequent and intense, and she blamed the judge and her lawyer for her life sentence. It's clear that Mitchell is a dangerous and disturbed individual, and her lack of remorse only solidified her fate. At number 2, we have David Morat, a known troublemaker with a history of flaunting his bad behavior on Instagram. One day, David broke into a home with the intention of stealing but ended up almost taking the homeowner's life in the process. Thankfully, the homeowner survived, but David's actions earned him a life sentence. In court, David went from a tough guy persona to a sobbing mess. He completely freaked out when he realized he would be spending the rest of his life behind bars. It's a far cry from the bad boy image he had cultivated on social media, and his tears did nothing to lessen his punishment.
The haze of the drugs has worn off as I've matured and seen the lifestyle that I thought.
And there you have it. 10 convicts who completely lost it after receiving life sentences. These courtroom moments range from tragic to bizarre, but they all serve as reminders of the consequences of criminal behavior. The justice system doesn't always bring out the best in people, especially when the reality of a life behind bars sets in. If you found this video interesting, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a part 2 with even more courtroom freakouts. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.